Welcome back to Insibles, everyone. So we have breaking news. Putin just mentioned that he does not acknowledge Donetsk and Luhansk as part of Ukraine, meaning that he could be attacking Ukraine by tonight. Now, U.S. officials here at the Pentagon just mentioned that they're expecting Russia to overtake Ukraine in the part that they want. And in my opinion, they could easily just take the rest of Ukraine. There's no limitation on what Russia can do, as they have enough military power to possibly take over all of Ukraine. Putin did mention multiple times in his speech today that he acknowledges Ukraine as a threat to Russia, mentioning that Western countries like the United States has been creating nuclear power for Ukraine as a threat to Russia. And in my opinion, Putin is definitely given a great reason why he may just attack. So we will keep an eye on this news for the next 36 to 48 hours. We do have multiple sources again mentioning that we are going to possibly get an attack within the next 48 hours. Now, again, this is not something that I necessarily know is going to happen or not going to happen. But what I will say is surely we are going to keep an eye on this news. I'm going to put a link in the description below on which live news source that I'm watching on minute-by-minute updates. I've been watching every single day. I want to make sure I do keep updated on this, so that way I can keep you guys updated, because if Russia does attack Ukraine, then we could have a major dip in the market. Now, before I give you guys a market update, I do want to mention this is the eastern side of Ukraine. Russia has always had political issues with the eastern side of Ukraine, very much pro-Russians. So Russia pretty much has control over this eastern Ukraine area. So if they do take eastern Ukraine and they do not take the rest of Ukraine or invade any further, then that would be better news than terrible news. But of course, we don't want any news to come out on them attacking at all. Of course, we want Russia to hopefully make this something of an acknowledgement to Ukraine, that Ukraine creates a better situation for Russia in the future with. But again, there's no guarantee. We're going to see what happens within the next 48 hours. Again, like I said, multiple sources, including the Pentagon, mentioning that they expect Russia to attack within the next 48 hours. We'll see what happens. Now, I didn't want to make you guys panic too much on a 3-day weekend, but I did want to make sure you guys stay updated on what's extremely important here. Again, the market could have a major dip like we haven't seen before if Russia does attack Ukraine, and especially if Russia attacks further into Ukraine, which a lot of people are expecting with the military force that they do have outside of Ukraine. Again, they are surrounded all the way around Ukraine. About 70 to 75% of the military is around Ukraine right now. And again, a lot of people are expecting a possible invasion here. And again, they said that Ukraine overall is a threat to Russia. So again, they may just want this eastern side of Ukraine, or they could just want to take out all of Ukraine because they feel like it's a threat to Russia. So we are going to keep an eye on exactly what happens there. Now, jumping into the S&P 500 with you guys here. Now, jumping into the daily chart with you guys here on the SPY, this is the S&P 500. So you guys can see what kind of momentum we did end with on Friday. And then I'm going to go over futures with you guys so you guys can see where exactly we have been pulling back to with all of this news that Russia has been coming out with. Now, before I get started, if you are interested in intraday perspective breakouts, meaning breakouts within the same day, go to instables.com in the description below, and you will never miss a breakout alert today again. Now, as you guys can see here again, we have been pulling back, and we did mention our possible bear flag here. If we are extending the pull of our bear flag, again, we did have our price target if we did continue on down here at 415. And again, that was not predicated on if Russia did attack Ukraine. That was predicated on our momentum that we have been getting leading into possible rate hikes. And as you guys can see, we would have been looking for a bounce here at 415, which if Russia does not attack Ukraine, in my opinion, we will have a major green candle and possibly open tomorrow at 445 if, again, Russia does decide to not attack Ukraine. But if they do attack Ukraine, then this could be world changing. And in my opinion, we do have a very key psychological resistance we will be testing, in my opinion, at 400. And of course, we do have our resistance here that we mentioned at 415 that we will need to break down below. And then we have our $400 level. And then we have a lighter support here at 380. And then in my opinion, if we do drop down below 400, and this is astronomical, and they do attack all of Ukraine, then we could be testing 360. We could have a large, what you would call a market crash, but what I would call a major pullback for major discounts in the market. And just looking for, again, the technical breakouts that we have been on the daily chart, just like we would with the 5-minute or the 1-minute in the Insibles room, like we do every single day. The same thing happening here on the daily chart. So just letting the plays come to us. Again, we are going to stay patient. If we do not get any news within the next 48 hours, then the market will be lingering on a possible attack on Ukraine for the next couple days. And in my opinion, we will see a lot of volatility go into tomorrow and the next day if Russia doesn't make the decision quicker. And hopefully, again, that decision is to the upside. I definitely don't want Russia to attack Ukraine. That definitely does not need to happen. You know, I really do hope the best for everybody in Ukraine. I really do pray that everything does work out there. And I really don't want the market to be pulling back on this type of attack. And I can care less about the market, really. I just really feel bad for everybody in Ukraine. I've been really been thinking about that a lot lately. And prayers goes to them, you know. But again, like I said before, we do have our if Russia attacks level. Again, we mentioned our 360 level. And then if we do drop down below 340, which was, again, when the pandemic did start and had this major pullback, then we could have another major pullback if we do drop down below 340. But again, that would be speaking way ahead. Jumping into futures here, as you guys can see on the ES, this is the S&P 500 as well. As you guys can see in the futures, we have been pulling back, but not extraordinarily pulling back. As you guys can see, we have been pulling back on the 5-minute within all of this Russian talk. And I wanted to point out something that happened. Again, we got a summit that was scheduled with Biden and Putin yesterday, and the market had a major spike because of that. I wanted to acknowledge this because, as you guys can see, the bulls are active. They're waiting for that good news. So if Russia, again, does not attack Ukraine and they decide to de-escalate, then again, those bulls, in my opinion, will continue to run the market, again, all the way up to 445, at least on the SPY, in my opinion. Even going into tomorrow and open, I would expect a major run into pre-market. And in my opinion, it will be very interesting if Russia does not attack Ukraine. We price in where we are after Russia doesn't attack Ukraine. Leading into rate hikes, we will see what our real pricing in is. You see a lot of people talking about a ton of rate hikes that are being expected, a ton of negative things that have been happening in the market. And they're justifying this major pullback with all of those market conditions, again, leading into many rate hikes and possible housing crashes and many of the things that they're talking about. In my opinion, as you guys can see, we're getting this reaction because of Russia attacking Ukraine. So it would be very interesting to see how the market prices in if Russia does not attack Ukraine. That would be very interesting because, again, here on the SPY, if we did continue on past 445 and Russia did de-escalate with Ukraine, then in my opinion, we could be pricing in at a better level, and you could see a lot of people start saying bullish, bullish, bullish. We could have a major bull run, and that's what they would be saying. If we did have a major bounce back, we continued on above 445 if Russia did, again, not attack Ukraine. So we will keep an eye on this Russia news, on what happens in the next 48 hours. I will post a link to my favorite Twitter feed that I like updates from Russia for, and also my favorite live stream that I have been watching throughout the day on updates from Russia. And again, this is non-agenda news, so there's no political stance here on this live stream. So it's one of my favorite live streams to be watching. He's a pretty cool guy. I love the guy. And now, again, like I had said, if you are interested in intraday perspective breakouts within the same day, go to instables.com in the description below, and you will never miss a breakout alert today. Again, all of you instables that have been supporting the channel, all of you instables that have been coming over and supporting the channel, I appreciate every one of you guys. Much love to every one of you guys. God bless you guys. I hope the best here for Ukraine. So don't forget to keep Ukraine in your prayers tonight. We never know exactly what can happen out there. It could be extremely bad, and hopefully nothing does happen. But again, I definitely would keep them in your prayers. And again, God bless you all, and I'll see you guys in pre-market.